Sweet. Okay, so I think you guys know who I am, Deanna, obviously. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, and Jess and I, I'll let her introduce herself. We work together for an intuitive eating and empowerment group. So we just want to kind of condense everything we teach people in 3 months and just give you like a little snippet of it. Some of the different things that we talk about with our specific group. But Jess, if you want to introduce yourself quickly, what you want to say.
Yeah, so I'm Jess. I'm also a registered holistic nutritionist, and I specialize in kind of digestive stuff and also intuitive eating, which I mean goes super hand in hand anyway. And I'm currently working at a health food store in London as well as like the in-store nutritionist. So I work a lot with supplements as well. If anybody has any supplement questions, if we have time at the end. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me. But Deanna and I are just finishing up our intuitive eating 3-month program, which has been super fun. So I'm excited to share a snippet of that with you tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I did send you guys a little worksheet. You don't need to use it or whatever right now, but you can always go back to it and write it down. We're going to be doing the prompts live, but they threw that there together. So I'll put it in the Slack group as well afterwards. But Jess, do you want to start by explaining what you think intuitive eating is in like a brief summary?
Yeah, totally. So to me, intuitive eating is pretty much just getting back in tune with your actual body, making movement and eating choices from that place rather than skipping back and forth between different types of eating and like diety type things, fad type things, and actually like finding out what you actually enjoy eating, first of all, what feels good also, and then combining those two things to eat like that for the rest of your life. So it pretty much just learning how to intuitively eat long term pretty much just means like no more fad diets, not even being tempted by that, and getting a lot of satisfaction and pleasure out of your eating experience, and putting that first, which I think intuitive eating, that's the main thing. It differs with a lot of diets and stuff. I mean, it differs in a lot of ways, but that's the number one way too, is it's not just what feels good, it's also what tastes good and what is good and what you love, and just making your eating experience a lot more enjoyable in general so that you don't have to worry about sticking to a plan because it literally is just what you love, combined with what makes you feel the best. So it's like combining nutrition and the obvious stuff we know about nutrition with being really gentle with our bodies and having it be okay to have a really balanced outlook at nutrition as well. So that's what I'd say.
Yeah, that's perfect. That sums it up. And yeah, basically why we do it is because when people say 95% of diets fail, it's hard to like, I don't know, it's just a stat people throw around, but it's true that we always start something, and this is why we're doing it this time of year, talking about it. A lot of people start something in January, it's super restrictive, and then a couple months, maybe even 3 weeks later, it's like crash and burn, and we're worse off than where we started. So we want to teach people how to listen to things that they enjoy, like she said, and things that make them feel good. Pay attention to your body cues, which we'll talk about today, because if you're doing a cookie cutter plan from someone else, it's likely not going to last long term. For 5% of people, it might. Most people, it's not going to happen.
And I also forgot to kind of add too, is intuitive eating is like the ultimate empowerment tool when it comes to your dieting and your nutrition and your even movement, because when we're being intuitive with our eating, I find it naturally bleeds into people being really interested about intuitive living and intuitive movement as well. So instead of kind of shoving what your body's telling you aside and just following a set plan, it's kind of empowering you to take back charge of your own health. I think that a lot of people think intuitive eating is just like always eating the chocolate, but it's eating the chocolate when we want it, and then so much more than that too.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you don't want it, having the boundary that you can say no, you don't have to do something because someone put it in front of you. So that's also part of it. Okay, so we're gonna say the 3 top things that we came up with. Feel free to write notes. You don't have to. It's on that page that we sent you. 3 top things we think of when we're thinking about first steps towards intuitive eating. So the first one, I'll just run by them all first, is checking in with yourself more often, which is kind of like what we were talking about. Before meals, during meals, after meals, how do you feel? Are you hungry? Did you enjoy that food? Are you too stuffed? What are you feeling? Maybe are you eating a lot because you're emotional, which we'll get to later? There's other things, distracted, things like that. So the first step, checking in with yourself more often, asking yourself questions, basically. Number two, putting that feedback ahead of food rules or movement rules that you have set for yourself or that you've heard somewhere else. So for example, like intermittent fasting, if you're hungry, but it's like, nope, I can't eat till 1 p.m., that's not intuitive at all. You're not listening to your body cues. You're listening to someone else's idea of health. Okay. And then number three, we like to say like a variety and also enjoyment in your diet and movement. So what do you actually like doing? What do you actually like eating? And rather than just one strict thing, you can do a mixed bag of things. So I know some of you guys are like into handstands and into yoga and into walking. And then sometimes you do strength training, and it's good to just mix it up, whatever you're feeling that day, especially for women with our cycle. But I won't get too far. I can go off. So let me just stop there. So those are the three top things: checking in more often, putting that feedback ahead of food rules, and then variety and enjoyment. Okay. Jess, do you want to go over the questions? Start with the first question.
Sure. So we pretty much kind of are asking a couple or like one question per thing Deanna just brought up. So for number one, check in with yourself more often, excuse me, before, during, and after meals and exercise. So what could that look like? It's the first question we have here is, how often do I eat when distracted? So you can think about that now. You can write it down if you want to, but just like think in a day and in a week, how many times do I eat on the road or in front of the TV or with my phone next to me? And this is not a shaming thing. We all do those things all the time, but just noticing first, because when we're distracted, we're not going to be able to be intuitive because we'll get full too quickly and not notice, or maybe we won't have eaten enough and we just get up and leave without actually checking in with ourselves. Are we actually satisfied? Or a lot of the time, which we hear again and again in our group, when they become more intuitive and start asking themselves those questions, they realize they don't even really love the foods that they eat on a daily or weekly basis. So I think that that's number one. So if you can kind of ask yourself, yeah, how often do I eat distracted? And then maybe what is one of those meals? Say you eat distracted with one meal a day or one meal and a snack. Like with one of those meals, how can I be a little bit less distracted? And let me tell you, like when I started intuitive eating, sometimes if you're used to eating with like your phone out or with TV, it's actually like an effort to put those things aside and change your habits. But the first thing you need to do is realize what's happening and how distracted you are. So that's number one. And do you want to go into number two, or do you want me to just carry on with all of them, Deanna?
I can do number two.
Okay, sounds good.
Give your voice a rest. And then number two is putting that feedback ahead of food rules. So we would like you to think about or write down a time that you felt very satisfied and happy with the meal. Then we want you to think about, what was the environment like? Were you with people? Were you on your phone? Were you at a restaurant? Was there music playing? Was there candles lit? Was it romantic, funny? What was going on in your experience? Did you make the meal and that's why you enjoyed it more? So I'll give you a second to think about a meal that you really liked. Maybe it's like Thanksgiving with your family, or Christmas, or Valentine's Day, or whatever.
I think we all have a couple of those meals, like the best meals ever that you just like think about, or like the restaurant you love the most. Like, what is it about that thing that makes it so enjoyable? Pretty much, we just want to tap into the satisfaction factor, which is one of the main hubs of intuitive eating, is what we're trying to do right now.
And once you have it, I want you to think about, how can you bring some of that into your everyday life? So, I mean, obviously you can't have like Thanksgiving dinner with your family all the time, or like a romantic dinner every night with someone. especially if you're single. But you can bring little bits of that into your day. So maybe you liked cooking and smelling it. So maybe once a week you make yourself something really nice. Maybe you like the dimmer lighting and music. Maybe you like I don't know, like being with one friend or whatever it is. And then how can you bring that into your life so that you feel that satisfaction a little bit more? It is a little bit easier if it's like you're cooking it or you don't need someone else, obviously. But maybe there is a way. And if you have a question about how to translate that, I'm down to answer.
It can even be like, what smells do you really like? What texture do you really like? Like, what are foods you really like? And how could you add those in? Or thinking about times you could add those in more.
Spices.
Mhm.
Maybe it's that you weren't caring about your food rules that day and you could bring some of that in. You're at a restaurant, you're like, you know what? I'm going to eat what I want. Maybe you can bring something like that into your life. Okay. And then the next one, Jess, if you want to go through that one.
Sure. So pretty much we're going back to listing your favorite things, because I think often, maybe you've got a couple favorite things or things on repeat that you do all the time, but we don't know what we don't know or what we don't think about. So I want you to list your five favorite foods or more. I'm not going to limit you, but at least five of your favorite foods. And how often do you have them? And then I also want you to list your five favorite foods as a kid. And how often do you have them now? If you still like them. Obviously, if you have like an aversion because you ate them too much, that's different. But like your five favorite foods as a kid and how often you eat them now.
Well, that just reminded me that my dad used to make eggs like every day. And I was like, oh, I hate eggs. And now I love eggs. And Taylor doesn't like eggs. And I was like, how do you not like eggs? And now I'm like, I actually didn't like eggs for a while. I forgot. That's so funny. It's like you eat them so often, you're like, oh, I can't even stand it anymore. The smell, bleh. But now I love them.
Mine started, I took like a developmental biology class in university and we worked with chicken eggs and I just can't.
I love that.
Do it anymore.
Can't do it.
Yeah, so this list doesn't have to be things you have to force on yourself if you don't like it now. It's just cool to kind of figure it out. That was one of my favorite things about starting intuitive eating. One of the things they get you to do is add these foods back in if you actually still like them. And it's super fun to like go to the grocery store and be like, wow, I'm going to let myself have all these foods that I either forgot I liked or because of food rules I stopped eating. Like there's a lot of reasons we stop eating them. Sometimes we just forget. So it's fun to kind of reintegrate fun foods into your life too. So anyway, one last question is part of this question. It's like a three-parter. What's your five favorite ways to move your body? And actually your five favorite ways, not just the ways that you tend to go towards. Think about what you actually love if you had to list five. And what would they be?
We got handstands. We got hot yoga. We got walking probably. Laura, I don't know what your favorites are, but shimming your butt in the kitchen, that can be one. Gardening can be one. It doesn't have to be like a standard thing that you do at a gym.
Yeah, I just said
Annie's got line dancing on her list.
Booty dancing. All right. Does anyone want to share anything that came up? Was there like funny things that you forgot about or things that you've, haven't done for a while as far as movement, but you like?
Or
I actually forgot that I love jumping on the trampoline.
Yeah.
So fun.
Good.
I might just go buy a trampoline.
Oh my God, please. And I'm coming over every day. Maybe wait till the spring because it's a little bit bad right now when the snow and the springs always broke. That is so fun. You can get the little ones in the house. They're not as fun, but they're so pretty sweet. I like them.
It's like I can't with my back. I can't do much like cardio and high intensity stuff. So it's just like a way to release the pressure. But
True.
Mhm.
You could go to a trampoline place if they're allowing people right now. That'd be fun. I'd go. Sweet. All right. So the next thing, I'm just gonna pull up so I know I'm in the order I put it in for you guys. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so we're gonna start talking a little bit more about New Year's resolutions, which it's like kind of a touchy topic because this is can be when diet culture and everything comes in hot and things that we don't like. But I do think New Year's resolutions are a good thing to think about, and it doesn't have to be like a New Year's resolution, but like goals for the new year or habits you want to start, things like that. It doesn't have to be the things that you set when you were younger and they were always like lose 10 pounds or like, the classic, I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to go to the gym. These are like the most common ones, and like lose weight, be good with money. Those ones always come up for people. But we're going to do it a little bit differently this year because obviously that's not what we are about. So I want you guys to think about and write. You can write in the group or on your page. What do you want to feel in the new year? So do you want to feel confident? Do you want to feel a lot of energy? Do you want to feel love? Do you want to feel at peace? Do you want to feel like grateful a lot, present?
More playful. I always like the last couple of years because of everything going on. I've always been like, how can I have more fun on my day-to-day experience? That's always been a resolution for me too.
Oh, I love that.
And I can carry on. So once you've written down like how you want to feel, say at least 3, I would aim for 3 main things that you want to feel this year going into the next year. What are your main health and movement goals for the next year? And how can those few things you've written down kind of play into that? So how can you bring into how you want to feel into those goals rather than just setting like very strict, number based or goal based that then you'd feel like you fell off the wagon or didn't reach it? What are your whatever health and movement goals for this next year if you take that into account, the last question that we just answered? So pretty much the question in your sheet too, we're just trying to say like, how can intuitive eating and intuitive moving help you achieve those goals? And intuitive comes from how we want to feel. So we're just tying those 2 things together.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone have an exciting health or movement goal? Jess, you can answer too. I don't know mine yet.
I don't really know mine yet either. I think for movement goal, my upper body, I always have like an upper body, like not set goal, but just to like get stronger because I love to feel strong. But I have not really set that many goals yet. I'm totally just slacking on that front. I'm like, New Year's Eve, I'll sit down. I got a new journal for Christmas. So I'm like, I'll just go for it. New Year's Eve, New Year's Eve day.
Yeah. You put like a push-up or a pull-up goal or
Yeah, I had a pull-up goal this year. It did not happen, but I don't feel bad about it. See, I did get a lot stronger, just I did not hit that goal. But it was also like it was a very specific goal. And now I'm like unlearning that too, still now, even though we live, like Deanna and I try to live our lives super intuitively all the time. Yeah, you got to unlearn a lot of things all the time.
Yeah.
Mine were I wanted to be more energized, confident, and strong, and then that would translate into improving my digestive health, which kind of just like ties it all in one. Like when my stomach is working properly, like I have less back pain, which means I can do more with moving my body.
Love it. Yeah, and intuitive eating is helping you a lot, like paying attention to what doesn't feel good in your body. And we've been doing some experimenting, so you're on the right track for sure.
Mhm.
Laura or Chantel, do you have a handstand thing, Chantel?
Yeah, my goal for this year is to get my pike press handstand.
Ooh, nice.
I got my strat here, so next year, pike.
She's so good. Oh my God. I love that. All right. Okay. So now, what are the baby steps you can do every day or every week to get you there? Because obviously it's good to think like, what do I want to be getting and feeling and stuff by the end of the year, but how can you get there? So for Chantel, it's like practicing however many times a week when you're feeling it. And like obviously like some days if you don't feel it, if you don't feel good and you're gonna be nauseous, don't go upside down. That's intuitive. And then Taylor, we were just talking about how your digestion, we need to kind of pay attention to and maybe write down the things that aren't feeling good in your body, but experimenting things and not stripping everything out, I think is like good things. But there's way more, and like keep going to hot yoga when it feels good and things that help you feel strong and energized and things like that. Obviously, I'm not making them up for you, just giving you guys examples.
One thing I love about those like yoga classes is that if I can't do something the way it's like meant to be done, I never feel guilty about it because my mat, not what's happening on other people's mat, is like I like that about it. And it's not like how many like you're supposed to do 13 like push-ups or something. Like it's just you can do it for what your body's feeling that day.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yoga is very intuitive. I love it. It's like if you're not feeling that, just chill in child's pose. I'm like, absolutely. Catch me in Shavasana. I'll meet you there at the end. I love it. Laura, do you have anything? Don't feel pressured to. I'm just in case.
No, I don't have anything yet.
Okay, no worries. Also, I'll put this in the group so you guys can print it and do things later. And then underneath it, I just wrote New Year's resolutions. If you have any on your mind, I put 3 spots. You can have 1, you can have 5. I don't care. I know personally, I wrote way too much last year. Like I wrote what I wanted to feel, and then I think like 5 goals, and it was so many. I don't even know what I wrote. Like I don't know what my goals were last year. So this year I'm gonna put them on my wall in my office so I actually see them. And I'm gonna make like a couple, not many. I think 3 is even kind of a lot, but I think if they're in different things, like you could have like a financial or a career one, and then like a health and lifestyle one, and whatever else.
Yeah, I loved our last call with our intuitive eating group. We talked a lot about how a lot of the time we don't even know what a sustainable goal looks like because we're so used to either being like going really hard in the gym or eating super clean or not doing either of those things, because healthy habits really kind of get tied and snowball together. And then if one thing falls off the wagon, sometimes it can all go. So I think that, that's why this practice is so important, to kind of ask yourself, how do I actually want to feel first? Because you're much more likely to, like Deanna just said, not make a million goals that will just leave you being like, of course I didn't smash them within a month. It's all about sustainable goals so that we don't feel we're not too hard on ourselves, because that is the last thing we need going into 2022. I don't know whether anyone else feels that, but I'm like, yeah, being hard on yourself's done. Let's stop doing that.
It's out. That's
Yeah.
not trending anymore. Get it out.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and like she was saying, I think it's important to remember the why you're doing it. So like I'm not working out because I said I was going to lose this weight, and I'm not eating healthy because I said that. I'm doing that because I want to feel strong and I want to feel this and that. And if I don't feel strong today, I feel like I'm depleted from the gym. That's cool. I'm doing it to get stronger. I'm not doing it to be perfect. Like I had the worst workout yesterday or something. I literally was like, why can't I do this? What is going on? And then I left and I was like, you literally just went to the gym and you did the thing you went to go to do. Like, why are you mad that like it felt hard? You went to the gym, you did it, you're done. Now you're stronger for it. So I don't know why we have like all these things in our head. Like if you're doing a handstand and you fell out 50 times, like sometimes it's just not your day. Sometimes in yoga you have zero balance. I'm in tree pose, I'm like plummeting to the side. But you went there, you feel stronger, you feel more confident afterwards usually. But if you beat yourself up like, oh, I have no balance today, you're actually doing the opposite. So maybe it was better to just take the time off, or you just need to change your mindset. There's a lot to that, but that's my thoughts.
Love that. And who wants to show up when that's the response you get if you don't show up exactly the way that you wanted yourself to? Like, we got to think about that too. Like, if you had, I know this is so cliche, but honestly, if you had like a family member or a friend who every time you saw them was like, you're not good enough, you suck, like, you should actually look like this, we'd be like, get out of here. Like, I'm not coming to see you for a long time. But we do that to ourselves all the time and put ourselves back in the situation where we do that to ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
I actually have a question with talking about the stuff with. So I just went to family Christmas, and like my aunt was talking about like, oh, it's like, so I just got engaged. I'm getting married in about a year, and so everyone's like, oh, gotta lose the weight for the wedding, and I'm just like trying not to think that way, and even not even saying it about me, but saying it about themselves. Like they want to like, oh, I'm gonna eat, like my aunt was talking about like some soup diet. And I was just like conflicted on how to even respond to the conversation, because I didn't want to get into you should do that, and or like I'm not going to. It's like a weird, like I'm already trying really hard to think about this whole process in a healthy way, and it's like weird when other people like aren't there yet, but like having that conversation, like how would you go about just like having a minimal conversation without getting too deep into it with people, and then like kind of bringing yourself in and like keeping yourself in check and not like kind of like morphing into that again, because I've worked pretty hard to like kind of get out of there. I don't want to like go back.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, you've come a long way. I think like I'll go first, then Jess
Yeah.
can touch on it.
Sure.
I think that's where you have to set a boundary, and you're just like, this is what I personally do. Like sometimes I literally smile and nod because I'm like, I cannot get into this right now. Like like it just, I'm just like, oh, okay, that's good. I probably won't do that, but thanks. Like, you know what I mean? If you have the capacity to talk to them about it openly without freaking out, like have a conversation, but you don't have to recognize and like combat everything, because that's their own issues that they're projecting onto you. Like if any time you ever feel like people are putting something on you, it's usually because they have that issue mentally as well. So that would be my opinion, is like sometimes you just like, or just say like, honestly, I'm working with a nutritionist, and like leave it at that, like it can be like, no.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that first of all, that's so normal. Like not this summer, but the summer before. Gosh, me and my partner had so many weddings to go to. And even I, like the thought kept coming up, like, oh, like, how are you going to look in this dress? Or could you like, tone up a bit for that? Like, and then I would just tell myself, like, that's bullshit. Like, we're already past that, Jessica. Like, we left that space a long time ago. But even someone who literally practices it, and like, that is what me and Deanna do. Like, that still comes up. So just giving yourself grace that way. And, having like the semi-hard, but kind of like easy, or just like gentle conversation of like, if someone's like, oh, I'm doing this diet, like for wedding season, like your wedding's coming up, what are you doing? And you can just be like, you know what, like this seems lame, but people don't know what to say when you say stuff like this too. You can say like, you know what, I'm actually not dieting anymore, but I am eating and moving in a way that feels super good. Like, what are they going to say to that? It's awkward, but it's the truth. And I
Like-
think that sorry.
I like that sentence. I'll bank that one.
Yeah, I think that it's like, it really surprises people and they're like, oh my God, but like, who doesn't actually ultimately want that? Everyone wants that. So when you say that that's what you're doing, they're like, oh, cool. Or they might be like, how the hell do you do that? Sorry for my swearing for anyone, but like people are intrigued, I think, oftentimes when you bring it up like that, at least I find.
Thank you.
For sure. Anyone else? Nothing. Hi, Weston. My dog's been crying. What do you want? What do you want your new year to be like? Says, I want cuddles and a lot of W's and TREATS's. He wants them too. Joyful movement and snacks. Just be like a dog. Look at him crying. Okay, bye. All right, well, we can wrap it up pretty early, but if you guys have any questions about that, what? He's so needy. This happens every call. Anyways, Jess, well, I'm gonna mute myself for a sec.
Okay. Yeah, just if anyone has any extra questions, we can even, like, I kind of have access to that whole group as well. So just ask us after the call if you can't think of anything now, or if you're answering the questions later and something comes up, hit us up, because we love answering questions. We even answer each other's questions. We text each other stuff all the time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we can let you guys go early. And if you're interested more in intuitive eating in our group, just let us know. Oh my gosh, dog, not the time. We'll be starting a new group in the middle of January. So if that is something you want to get started on, enjoying your movement and enjoying your food, we would love to have you. It's a group program. And then obviously we both could do individual stuff. So reach out to us if you are interested.
Mhm.
All right, with that,
Thank you very much, Dee and Jess.
yes,
Yeah, thanks for
See you.
coming.
have a good night.
Bye, everybody.